it's really so wonderful to be back here. Like you said, I do feel like it's my home. I think it's my third time being on this wonderful radio. And I remember the first time I came, I had just moved to New York. I was just finding my way around here, and it was my debut composition concert, and you supported me and helped promote that, and it was, I felt so touched. I'll never forget that.
Beautiful.
So much has happened since. I founded this orchestra, Pegasus, the orchestra. It's been in existence for 3 years now. And, our first 2 seasons were focused more in New Jersey, even though we had a concert in New York. We have a wonderful residency there at Mana Contemporary, which really it's part of our core mission statement to reach out to communities that don't have access to high-caliber orchestral concerts, chamber concerts. And this is going to keep staying as part of our core mission, is to tour around the country as we gather more support, and even around the world, trying to reach those communities. Now, the concert on November 23rd is a little bit different because it's very symbolic to us. It's our debut concert, first of all, in New York City as an orchestra. It features our own concertmaster, Eiko Kano, who is phenomenal. And what makes it even more meaningful is that her former teacher and mentor, who was the legendary concertmaster of New York Philharmonic of 34 years, Mr. Glenn Dikterov, has agreed to perform with us also.
That's great.
And out of his admiration for her, and also, he wants to support us, our undertaking. So it's going to be so beautiful because Pegasus' concertmaster will be performing with New York Philharmonic's former concertmaster, Bach Double Violin Concerto, which is one of the most beautiful pieces ever written. On the same program, I have just finished composing a few weeks ago a piece called Contempo Bach Recombinant, which is sort of play of words on Bach's colossal influence on Western music, including Armenian music, really, if you think about Komitas and everyone that came after. So it's recombinant really is a play of words of Bach's musical DNA, the imprint of his musical DNA. So my piece sort of incorporates that influence in my life. Also, I've managed to incorporate some of the Armenian tetrachordal scales. So it's a really interesting piece, and my goal wasn't, and I wrote this piece specifically for this concert and for Pegasus, and it's just such a privilege to write with someone in mind already. And it features lots of solos, and it highlights the orchestra as individuals, not just as an ensemble. And to finish the program, we will end with Tchaikovsky's beloved Serenade for Strings, which is just one of the most stunning pieces of music ever written.
You speak about the influences in my life in the composition. Could you give us a very quick idea? Who has influenced you? What were the influences that got you here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, of course, growing up in Armenia and being surrounded by rich cultural, heritage and music, Komitas was a great influence. Khachaturian was a great influence. One of my teachers was Edvard Mirzoyan, also one of the most prominent Armenian composers. An interesting fact, we actually premiered his symphony back in 2015 in New York, which had never been performed there before. So it's, I feel like the musical journey that I've had and the really strong foundations in music that I've, gathered from being an Armenian and from coming from such a rich culture has left me inspired and wanting to actually share this with the world, because I feel like there's so much hidden, that we have so many hidden gems within our music, within our, not just the pieces that have been composed, but even, like I said, our tetrachordal system, which is really not that known yet in Western music. So I feel like we have a lot to give, and I'm hoping that Pegasus will be a platform to not only promote Armenian music and Armenian culture, but cultures of other ethnic cultures that have a lot to be shared with the world. I hope for this to become a great platform.
For many years we've been very, very proud of the culture you grew up with. You mentioned greats like Mirzoyan, there's Harutyunyan, there's Gomidas, there are Mansourian. But what is your take of what's happening today in Armenia in terms of that rich culture?
Well, I think everyone is very hopeful, and with this sort of new rebirth and new movement, and I myself, had been, being an Armenian myself, of course, I even composed a piece a couple of years ago dedicated to the genocide for the centennial called Rebirth. And, of course, while we honor the past, I feel like it's so important that we are starting to also focus more on the future, and I'm seeing so much positive changes. As a musician, there's only so much I can do maybe in that direction, but for music, I hope to also continue to contribute for that better future for all of us.
Nora.
So, we all know that your orchestra is called Pegasus. What made you decide on that name?
Well, I've always been fascinated by Greek mythology, and of course, Pegasus is, the winged stallion of, and I think it signifies so much more than that. It signifies, it's the muse, it's the musical, magical creature that music takes flight, and. I was thinking about how we as humans always have dreamt of defying gravity, and music gives us that. It gives us the wings to take flight to our imagination. So that's where the concept of Pegasus came about.
And I got one question for you. What advice do you have for the younger generation who wants to start doing like instruments and vocal stuff? What do you have for them?
Well, I think it's so important, just to experiment a little bit and expose yourself to new things, And I think that classical music has so many different sides that I think one just has to kind of give themselves the opportunity to experience it, even just a little bit. And that's all sometimes it takes to spark in your imagination or take you to a different place, And I've been so fortunate because we've had lots of young people coming to our concerts as part of our residency, and maybe the reason why is because we have a different setup. For instance, we'll have sometimes the orchestra in the center, and then audience sits all around us, and so they get to see like a 360-degree view of what it's like to be part of it, to be immersed in it, and to hear it that close and that personal. I think it makes it sparks the younger audience's imagination. So that's part of my core mission, is to reach out to more and more.
There is another piece of music which I believe Karen has conducted, the second one. It's yours conduction. Could you tell us about something about a piece that we're going to listen to?
Yes, so it's the famous Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin, and it's originally written for a large orchestra, for 90-piece orchestra. And so I got permission from the Gershwin Foundation. I made an arrangement of 18 instruments only, and I'm playing and conducting this from the piano.
That's
with
beautiful.
Pegasus.
This is also dedicated to all listeners, to all music lovers, and hopefully to all many people who will support Karen Hakobyan on November the 23rd and enjoy the beautiful music of his.
Beautiful solo you just heard from clarinet was played by our principal clarinetist, Narek Arutyunyan, and it's one of the most difficult openings. I think most clarinet players are very nervous about this, and he for lack of better word, nails it every time. Every time he plays it, it's absolutely perfect.
It's just amazing how much talent we have in the Armenian community. If we could only harness this talent, how difficult is it to start an orchestra? Pegasus, the orchestra. What does it take?
It's much more difficult than I thought it would be, actually, because I had individually worked with so many great musicians, and that's how the concept of Pegasus came about. We played chamber music together, we toured together, and I started to think, that all these great musicians that are not necessarily part of orchestras, because a lot of them are chamber musicians, soloists, they're pursuing different paths. Have something in common, and then if I could somehow create a platform, not just an orchestra, but also something bigger, platform, and bring them all together, we can actually, do things in a different way. So it's called Pegasus the Orchestra because sometimes we'll appear as smaller groups, even trios, quintets, septets, 10 of us or 15 of us. Sometimes we'll go up to full symphony orchestra, depending on the program. And within the group, there's already some new groups being created that are, several members are doing different projects together, and that's been my mission, is to bring them all together. In terms of creating an orchestra, of course, it does take immense amount of work and resources and dedication, and especially what we are trying to do is to become a touring orchestra to reach communities that don't have access. For instance, recently we went up to Hartford, New York, that had never, to my knowledge, had never had an orchestra perform there, and we did the program called Americana, so the Rhapsody in Blue we just heard, and a program of American music, and it was packed, people were thrilled, and because, of our flexible model, we are able to do that, and the type of musicians we have and the compact size that we have.
Garen, honestly, I don't know too much about music, but I know the challenges you may be facing. My question is, it's such a difficult thing to make it in New York, as the song reminds us, if you can make it in New York. And what is the main challenge? I know there are many, many challenges, but what is one thing, if you could ask for and get, what is it you would want to get?
Well, it's, when it comes to such a large organization or so many musicians involved, of course, unfortunately, the word funding is probably one of the first ones that jumps at me. And it's because it's my responsibility as the founder and artistic director to make sure that all the musicians are always paid well and felt appreciated and for all their hard work. So that's something that I always have to think about. And second, I would say, is also reaching to new audiences. I think it's a challenge that many groups face, and we want to be able to reach them as much as possible. So that's why we are changing the format a bit. We are performing in some unorthodox venues, some major venues. We are not just sticking to one standard.
Let's listen to the end of this piece. Գլոցեք Նյու Ջերսի հայկական ռադիոժամը այս երաժշտությունը, որ գիմանանք ղեկավարությամբ էր մեր հյուրին Գարեն Հակոբյան, որ է տաշնագահար, կոմպոզիտոր եւ ինչու՞ չէ նաեւ ղեկավար եւ իսկապես բայձար անձնավորություն է եւ հոգիով եւ միտքով երբ Գարենի հետ խոսիմ եւ գտեսնամ երիտասարդ ուժը գմդածեմ ազնվորին որոշ հատիսությամբ ազնվորին մեդալ մդվին եւ ազնվորը ծավալ մխոսք զարգավ քաղաքին ասին վսավ ես հիմա այս տարիքի սասա մեդալներու բերքություն ունիմ երիտասարդներուն մեդալ դվեք հարցը այն է որ որքան մենք կարող ենք իբրև քաղուտ կնահատել ջանչնալ օգտակար դառնալ եւ ինչու՞ չէ նաեւ մեդալները դալ նման ուժերուն այս բարձրապես խոսք մնե որ երբեմն անց եւ Խաչատուրյան գտարնա, Մանսուրյան գտարնա եւ այլ մեծ անուններ գտարնան այդ ժամանակ ժողովուրդը ամիջապես գարտնա եւ այնպես մգծեվացնենք որ մենք մաս գազմերցինք այդ անտինաճողության մեջ եւ ճիշտ ասեմ բավական դժվարություն հաջող գայտնենք աշու ժամանակները կփոխված են կփոխվին ամեն օր կփոխվի գացությունը կփոխվի մեր բնդայդությունը կփոխվի մեր հետաքրքրությունները կփոխվին սակայն այդ իրականությունը գա որ այստեղ ուժեղ գարող գայդար գանանչ երդասարտներ կան, երդասարտուհիներ կան, որոնք քաղաքին մասնակցությունը, օգնությունը կարևոր է։ Նոյեմբեր 23-ին քիչ առաջ խոսեի Նարեգին Գարենին հետ եւ ասենք որ նոյեմբեր 23-ին զանազան հայդակիրներ կան քաղաքի մեջ, բայց 100,000 որ ինքն արասավ եզակի եւ առաջինն է իբրև օրկեստրա Pegasus the orchestra գներգացուն է Գարեն հայրենով շարունակե ինձ օգտակար եղիր եւ ինձ ասե ինչ կմտածես իմ ասածներից մասին։
Գիտեք, շատ զգացված եմ եւ լիովին համաձայն եմ, քանի որ հայրենիքից հեռու լինելով հետո 16 տարեկանում ես մեկնեցի Հայաստանից եւ սկզբում Եվրոպա, հետո Ամերիկա եւ իմ կարոտը, ոնց որ ասած մեր հայրենիքի եւ այդ հայր հողի միշտ կա եւ միասնությունը երբ որ զգում ես համայնքի, երբ որ զգում ես որ միասին ենք կանգնած, միասին ենք այդ ամեն ինչը անում, այդ զորեղ ես ավելի քեզ զգում, հզորությունն ես զգում այդ եւ իհարկե ես միջև իմ սրտի խորքը երախտագիր կլինեմ, եթե տեսնեմ մեր համայնքը ներկա համերգին եւ զգամ այս միասնությունը եւ միասին կարողանանք աճել, քանի որ իմ երազանքներից մեկն է որ Pegasus-ի միջոցով հայ երաժշտության փառատոն ստեղծել, քանի որ ունեն բոլորը ճապոնացիների ունեն, չինացիների ունեն, շատ ազգեր ունեն Lincoln կենտրոնում, Carnegie Hall-ում եւ ես հույսով եմ որ սա քայլերից մեկը կլինի, որ միասին պայքարենք, որ մենք էլ ունենանք, քանի որ շատ ունենք մենք աշխարհին մեծ հայտ ունենք տալու մեր արվեստի միջոցով։
Իսկապես խոնարհիկ ծեր դաղանտին արչև հբարդ գսկանք ծեր հաջողություններով եւ փակման խոսքը ունի կամանք լերնով կամ հայերնով closing remarks դգարեն։
Well, I'm just, for the Pegasus to take flight, I couldn't have done this alone. It's all thanks to the amazing musicians that I have by my side, including our concert master, including our principal players. Community has played a big role in me, coming to New York as well. And I just want for all of us to see the big picture here that, like Mr. Abdo was saying, that if we work together, we can create something. I can't do this alone. It has to be a team effort. It has to be the community, has to be more people involved. And so I would love to hear from the community and see how we can work together to make this on a larger scale. And so hope to see everyone on November 23rd in Merkin Hall. And thank you so much. I'm so touched by your interview.
Thank you, Garin, for honoring us by your presence, for enlightening us with your spirit, and hopefully enlightening all our listeners, because we are very, very proud of you. The more we know about you, the more proud we get.